have a great day. Live from the KHOU 11 studios, it's Great Day Houston. And now here's your host, Deborah Duncan.
Happy Friday. Good morning. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Good morning to our live studio audience. Good morning to those of you at home as well. Okay, so starting off today's show. To most of the world, he's part of one of the most successful and influential music groups of all time. The group was made up of Ringo, George, John, and Paul, otherwise known as the Fab Four.
That's John Lennon, George Harrison, Paul McCartney, and Ringo Starr.
Knighted for his contributions to music, making him Sir Paul McCartney. While he's definitely music royalty, to our first guest, he's just family. Here at the behind-the-scenes look into the Beatles, a look at the music from yesterday and the musicians they hope to encourage today. Please welcome Angie McCartney. She was married to Paul's father. Also with us is Paul's sibling, Ruth McCartney. Good morning. Good morning. Coming full circle now, we're going to get to what you all are taking part in right now to encourage today's musicians.
Yes.
But looking back at yesterday, I find it so funny that for you, when you were a little girl, while the rest of the world was in the middle of Beatlemania, what were you thinking?
Well, they were sort of like my older brother and his mates. They were like my uncles, and I couldn't understand why all these girls were screaming because, I mean, they were, to me, they weren't no Keith Partridge,
Yeah, they're just a bunch of old men. What's going on here? It was crazy how it kind of took off. And, there are lots of great musicians over time, but this was one of those ones that just kind of grabbed hold from across the pond.
That's right, yes. Well, I had just married Jim, and they'd recently
Paul's
done the
father.
Yes. I was a widow with a 4-year-old little girl. She's not so little anymore, as you'll notice.
Thank you.
But I was a widow, Jim was a widower, and we met through a mutual friend who was his niece, a friend of mine, and she was thinking, matchmaker, Uncle Jim living alone in a big house.
Oh, yeah.
Angie with little
There's
Ruth.
a story of a lovely lady. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far. But, yeah, it worked out very well.
They fell in love, they got married.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there I am going to school with the last name McCartney. And, of course, the headmaster thought he was doing everyone a big favour and gathered all the kids together without me and said, now, she's not to be treated any differently. So guess what? Telling a bunch of 7-year-olds.
Yeah, don't do that.
She was treated differently.
Absolutely, yeah.
Here's my album. Can you get it signed for me?
Well, actually, that and good accent. That and they would cut my hair off and steal my lunchbox in case Paul had touched my orange.
Oh my God!
Like cheese and crackers. Yeah.
So life was anything but ordinary, and you both have a different perspective on it because for you it was kind of like it was the norm because it's all that you knew at the time, being so young. For you, you kind of stepped into a whirlwind.
I did indeed, yes, but. It was nice in the fact that, Jim was good and kind and he was just beginning to have arthritis, so he needed someone to take care of him.
Yeah.
And he adopted Ruth and, we went off on trips and I used to say to Ruth, don't ever tell anybody your phone number. Or it's all right to tell a little lie if they say, is Paul home? And you say no. It's not really a sin. It's only a little white
Paul
one.
home? Paul who?
Paul who? Yeah.
Or as we would say in Liverpool, never heard of him.
You sipped tea with John Lennon.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Apropos tea, we brought you a gift.
Yes, I brought you some of my Mrs. McCartney's tea.
Oh, yay!
Yeah.
Yay! Look at that. To sip on that a little bit later on.
Her favorite shade, her favorite flavor was renamed.
It used to be called Earl Grey. Now it's called 50 Shades of Earl Grey.
Oh, yes!
And it flies off the shelves. That sold out in no time at all.
Sold out like that.
Yeah, it also did.
Well, I send donations to the Linda McCartney Breast Cancer Centre, so I'm always pleased if I can sell it. So
absolutely.
Send some money over to them.
And you're raising a lot of money for that in a number of different ways. So, you never knew, who was going to drop by the house at any given time. No. So, Ruth, you did laundry for a very famous person.
Yes, I used to, help Angie out around the house, and people would drop in and stay, because Paul would always say, oh, I've got a big house up in Liverpool. Go and stay with my dad and Ange. Yeah. So one day, ding-dong, doorbell goes, and Jimi Hendrix is standing there. And they'd been touring in a van for like 3 weeks, so they needed big laundry help.
They needed laundry. They needed showers.
And John Lennon had been there the weekend before and left some laundry, so it never occurred to me until I was older. There I am, sort of 8 years old, washing John Lennon's socks and Jimi Hendrix tighty-whities go around in the same load, you know. Too bad they didn't get to make music together, right?
You know, one thing that you got to see up close and personal is kind of the making of a music group and what makes them relevant today and what makes, I mean, because fans today are just as crazy about them today as they were back then.
Absolutely. I know. And when we go to events, there are several generations, you know, from people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and their kids and their grandkids.
Yeah.
And all the kids know all the lyrics to all the songs.
Right.
So the family are still playing the music.
That's what you're teaching musicians today. Is like, you know, you can be good at what you do, but there's a business component to it.
Absolutely.
And a
It is a
customer
music
service business
Yeah,
or connection to it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
sure.
But I mean, across the generation, we're here in not just Houston, but the Houston area. We started the week in Kemah, down at Eculent, which is a fab restaurant. We did a Fab 4 tasting dinner course thing, and we loved it so much we're coming back October 16th and 17th to do it again. Because, again, it benefits the Linda McCartney thing. But, you know, people brought their...
You did that yesterday?
Monday and Tuesday.
Monday, Tuesday
You
night.
did that yesterday.
I get
You're determined to sing.
But then this week, our dear friend Barry Coughing, who's the founder of Springboard South, this music festival that we're here for, it's at George R. Brown all this weekend, and everyone's welcome. It's about teaching kids who are in the music business that it's a business. It's music business, and you have to take care of your fan base. So we're giving panels on, John Lennon used to call them the customers, never called them the fans.
Yeah.
He used to say if we just had a customer list, we could ask the customers what they want.
Which is so much easier today than it was back then. You all kind of ran the fan club there, so you know it was like done the old-fashioned way with letters.
It was, with shoeboxes full of mail. The postman would come up the drive twice a day with big sacks of mail, and we'd open them and sort them into countries, which is our first geography lesson.
Wow.
And our first idea about fan management and the importance of
today
knowing...
you've got Instagram, Twitter, the whole bit.
That's right, yes.
And social media is important, but you have to convert those people into name, address, city, state, zip, phone number, birthday.
So you can get in touch.
We have a piece of software called iFans, ifanz.com, that allows people, you can join for free, and you can actually start to manage your database. And if an artist wants to go into the restaurant business, let's say, or sell their art or their jewelry, then they have a customer list. So we're back to square one with John Lennon.
Yeah.
So that's what we're at Springboard for, is to really talk to fans. And there are panels about music publishing, getting music out there in movies. You know, the kids get so excited about what color shall I dye my hair and shall I get a nose ring. They forget about the business part.
Yes, not just the image part. And, and owning the business. You know, it used to be a time where really, it was, if you weren't with the record company, you just didn't make it, or it was very difficult to make it.
Right.
Today, we're seeing more independent artists.
Absolutely.
iTunes,
Yes, the whole thing has
Spotify, the whole
changed,
thing. I mean, it's difficult for them because you don't make the money you used to. You don't have a backer like a Clive Davis or an Arista or something like that. But the genres have become so much more segmented that the audience has become bigger. So it's volume.
Yeah, and let me just wrap up with this. I get so many people who say to me, I really want to be a musician, I really want to do this, and I think sometimes they're so focused on the end game that they forget the journey that it takes, the Abbey Road it takes to get there.
That's right.
Right?
But the long and winding road.
Yeah, the long and winding road. That's right, there you go. But they forget that, and that's really, and if you don't make it big, if it's still your passion, do it. On the weekends, do it after work, whatever, just do it.
And if you can make a living, even better, because if you love to do what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right. I always say there's a difference between a job and a career.
That's right.
A job is the thing you do to get paid, to take care of your passion in life. And then a career is something that's of you, by you, in you, and the whole bit. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Deborah, for having us.
The Springboard South Music Festival is happening this weekend until June 21st. Runs through June 21st at Warehouse Live. You can find out more at greatdayhouston.com.